Man, that was a pain in the rear doing that up there in the attic. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You know? I guess if I had somebody else helping me, I could have, well, no, I couldn't have done that. Yeah, I could have done that down below. I could have ran the first one and then fished the wire through the opening down below. Then I would have had to have held the can up off a ladder with both wires, hook it up, and then hook it to here with the pigtail coming out to this one. Do the same thing with this one, the next one, the next one. You know, that's another way to do it. Now, these cans, you know, the connection area right there, they did a disservice. The little opening is not facing up, it's facing down. So I had to pull everything down and then push everything back up that way and work like that. They should have put that facing up, and there's no other way to do it because the top of that doesn't unsnap. It's just the bottom that unsnaps. So that they did a disservice to everybody. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you remember that was the can I had the two long pieces I shoved up through the ceiling. One of them went over to that can. Okay, the next one's going to go over to there, right to that can right there. Now what I should have done, that next one, I should have ran 2 wires out of that, right? One, you know, from down below and then push it up, because I thought it would be easier to hook these up from here, and everything's facing downward. So what I'm going to do, you see, I've got to, once I take the wire from this one over to that can, I then got to take a wire from there to there, and then from there up to my junction box. This is where my power feed is. I've got to get the power from here over to that container, and that junction box obviously feeds the light switch box. So when you turn the light switch on, boom, comes over here and then goes down to the light fixture. So from that light fixture, I need 2 wires coming out of that, don't I? And I'm thinking it's going to be way easier for me to do that down below. I can easily remove that can from the ceiling. I'm going to put my 2 wires on there. I'm going to run one long, about 5 feet long, to go over to here, because 5 feet was plenty long. And you see how I did this? I ran it, and I put the staples on the side of the joist. I ran that one over there and put the staples on the side of the joist. I'd rather have you do that. You try to keep the wires down like that. And besides, these are old studs, old sheetrock. Last thing I want to do is start taking a staple and pounding it right on top of the joist, because it's easier for me to put the wire up there and pound it in with my hammer. You know what I mean? That's why I went on the side too. And because this is way back in the back, nobody's ever going to walk there. You're not generally supposed to have your electrical lines going across the top of a joist, because then somebody could step on that, trip themselves, or step on it and short the wire out or something like that. Okay, but because it's back in here, I'm going to say it's okay. All right, so my next step, I'm going down there and taking that out, putting the 2 wires on there, fishing it back up here, and then I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Then we'll get going again. Just a reminder, when you get all done with your project, I know it's the last thing you want to do is say, oh, I'm tired, I'll get back to it later, and I'll crawl back up there and reposition all the insulation. Do it before you get done. That's one of your last things on your project, so you know you won't have to come back up here in this attic. You want to get everything covered. You know, you paid a lot of money for this blow-in insulation. Why leave it like this now? Okay, reposition it when you're done. You know what? You're just going to have to believe me that I got that one wired up. I couldn't really show it to you. I was down on my back. I didn't have very good way to show the camera and stuff. But you know, it's wiring it up the very same way that I showed you down below. And trust me, anytime you work up in the attic and you get in a small confined areas like this, it's hard to work. You can't put your hands down in where this insulation is. You don't want to put any weight down there where the sheetrock is, and twisting and turning and trying to situate your body on here and hold your hands up there for the staples and your sheetrock knife and your screwdriver, and trying to shove the wires in there without pressing on the sheetrock and cracking your ceiling. All that kind of stuff comes into play. So anytime you can do whatever wiring you can from down below, you should. Now that was the light can that I popped back out, and I fished up the wires. You see that one wire there, that goes over to there, and I've got this long wire right here that comes out of that box, that can light, and it's going to go up to this box. Okay, but enough of that for right now. I'm going to show you how to make up this junction box. This is just a junction box. It's connecting one wire to another wire. You got a short wire, and that's where our light switch wire and our power switch wire came up into the ceiling over about there, and it wasn't long enough. And so whenever you have a short wire, the wire goes down to a light switch or electrical receptacle or something, or you're tapping in the attic for some power, you've got to install a junction box. Oh, it's very simple to install these wires, and I'll show you that in a minute.